At LAX airport, Claire rushes through the crowd, eyes darting in every direction. Her brother's flight just landed, and she can barely contain her excitement. Then she sees him, a tall figure, dark-haired, walking toward the exit. Without thinking, she runs and throws her arms around him. But the moment she presses against him, something feels off. The scent is unfamiliar, woodsy, expensive. The build too firm. And then, silence. She pulls back, heart racing, and stares into the eyes of a stranger. Impeccably dressed. Ridiculously handsome. Definitely not her brother. The man? Logan Hale, reclusive billionaire, allergic to attention. And from one awkward mistake, everything changes. Claire hadn't seen him since the airport. Not in person at least. But somehow, that awkward embrace had replayed in her head more than she wanted to admit. She told herself it was the humiliation, not the man. Definitely not the man. After she ran off, breathless from the embarrassment, a man in a black suit had stepped beside him. "Mr. Hale, is everything all right?" Just 5 words. But enough for her to catch the name. Enough to feed her late-night curiosity. Logan Hale. Google confirmed it all. Reclusive billionaire, heir to a sprawling investment empire, rarely photographed, and allergic to public attention. And she, the girl who had accidentally face-planted into his chest at LAX, had become an uninvited blip in his perfectly curated world. It had been 3 days since then. 3 shifts filled with overbrewed coffee, rude tourists, and her aching feet. She figured he was long gone, back to his penthouse, yacht, or private island. Definitely not her reality. So when her manager Rick called out, "Claire, VIP on 7. Your turn," she didn't blink. She adjusted her apron, grabbed her notepad, and wove through the crowd. Until she saw him. Table 7. Back straight. Sleeves rolled. Glasses resting beside a black ceramic mug he hadn't touched. Logan Hale. Her breath caught. He looked up. And smiled. "Claire, right?" She froze. "Yes. You serve coffee better than you hug." She blinked. "Art. Excuse me?" "Kidding," he said, grinning. "Mostly." She wanted to disappear. Dig a hole through the terminal floor and fall in. But instead, she cleared her throat and said, "Can I get you something?" He tilted his head as if considering. "Black coffee. Strong. Like your nerve." She wrote it down, tight-lipped. Walked off. Behind the counter, her coworker Max leaned in. "That him? Hug guy." She glared. Max raised his hands in surrender. "Hey, he's tipping like a hedge fund." "Just saying." When she returned, she placed the cup on his table without a word. But Logan looked amused, sipping slowly. He stayed longer than expected. Didn't open a laptop. Didn't scroll his phone. Just sat, watched, and left a tip that made her question her hourly wage. She told herself it was a one-time thing. A curious billionaire slumming it for fun. But the next day he came back. Same table. Same time. Same order. And again the day after that. Always her shift. Always table 7. Always Logan Hale. Sometimes he read. Sometimes he didn't even pretend. He watched her. Not in a creepy way. In a quiet, unnerving way, like he was trying to figure something out. He never asked personal questions. But he noticed things. When she limped, he asked if her ankle was okay. When she swapped her braid for a messy bun, he commented, "New look. Suits you." When the espresso machine exploded mid-shift, he offered to help. She declined. Obviously. But still. Mattered. Claire started anticipating his visits. Not out of eagerness. Just awareness. Like her brain had made space for him. And it annoyed her. Logan never flirted. Not exactly. But he didn't ignore her either. There was a gentleness in the way he watched her hustle. A respect she rarely saw in strangers. Especially not rich ones. One afternoon he arrived early. Caught her just as she was tying her apron. "Don't suppose I could get a preview of today's special?" She rolled her eyes. "Still just coffee and overpriced sandwiches." "I'll take the Claire combo then." She stared. "The what now?" "Black coffee. And whatever look you give people when they pretend to tip." Against her will she laughed. It slipped out, unexpected, real. He noticed, but didn't press. Later that shift, when she brought his usual, he said quietly, "This place is starting to grow on me." She quirked a brow. What, the stale muffins or the fluorescent lighting? Neither. His gaze didn't waver. You. Claire didn't reply. Her heart did a weird little somersault. And that was the moment she knew. This wasn't just coffee anymore. The third time Logan came in that week, Claire had already learned to brace herself. Not because she didn't want to see him, but because he was starting to feel predictable. Table 7. Always. Same time. Same smirk. Same strange ability to make her feel both annoyed and oddly understood. He barely sat down before speaking. Dinner. With me. Tonight. Claire raised an eyebrow. That's not a question. No, he said, grinning. It's an invitation. She exhaled. I don't do dinners with customers. Especially the persistent ones. Logan leaned forward slightly. What if I stop being a customer? Then I'd have no reason to serve you, and this awkward little routine would be over. He laughed, unfazed. Touché. Still dinner? Just once. I promise not to make it weird. Too late, she said flatly. He didn't push it. Just left his usual tip, and a folded note under the sugar jar. Claire found it 15 minutes later. Read. 8 p.m. Backos. If you don't show, I'll know you're scared. She read it twice. Then rolled her eyes so hard they nearly got stuck. Bull. Arrogant. Exactly what she expected. And yet, at 7:54 p.m. she was outside Backos. Heart pounding. Wearing a simple, elegant black dress. Hair curled, makeup light. She told herself it was just curiosity. Just proving she wasn't afraid. She stepped inside. The restaurant was warm, low-lit. Not extravagant, but clearly upscale. A server greeted her and, without asking, led her to the corner booth. Logan stood when he saw her. Wearing a dark button-up, sleeves rolled at the forearm, no tie. Understated. Effortless. You came, he said. I'm not scared of you, she replied. He held back a smile. Good. I'd hate to think I intimidated you. They sat. Menus were placed. Claire glanced at the prices and immediately regretted showing up. He noticed. Relax. It's my invitation. I wouldn't ask you out and make you pay. She crossed her arms. Maybe I'm just not used to being asked out at all. Logan paused. His tone softened. Then let's make this easy. No expectations. No pressure. Just a meal. Claire studied him. There was no smirk this time. No teasing glint. Just patience. And maybe something close to sincerity. Fine, she said quietly. They ordered. Pasta for her, grilled sea bass for him. He asked if she liked her job. She told him the truth, sometimes yes, mostly no. He didn't try to fix it. Didn't offer her a new one. Just nodded and listened. She told him about her brother. About how she had to grow up too fast. About the dreams she shelved when bills came knocking. And Logan? He shared pieces of his life too. The pressure of being expected to succeed. The loneliness of always being followed, even in silence. The fact that he sometimes went to the airport just to feel anonymous. That made her pause. You go to the airport, to disappear? He nodded. No one expects a billionaire to be sitting alone at gate 42 with a black coffee. Claire didn't laugh. Not this time. It wasn't funny. It was real. They talked for nearly 2 hours. Time folded. Noise blurred. And when the bill came, he paid without ceremony. No flashy card. No performative gesture. Just a quiet thank you to the server. As they stepped outside, the night air hit cool. Claire wrapped her arms around herself. Logan noticed, hesitated, then removed his jacket and gently placed it over her shoulders. She looked at him. Suspicious. This isn't a move, is it? He smiled. If it were, you'd see it coming. They stood in silence. Then Claire said, almost under her breath, Thanks for listening. Logan met her eyes. Thanks for talking. She didn't promise to see him again. Didn't say goodnight with a flirty smile. But she walked away slower than usual. And for the first time in a long time, Claire felt hurt. Claire had always been the strong one. The one who figured things out. The one who made ends meet when there wasn't enough to go around. But nothing prepared her for the call from Tyler's school. He fainted in gym class. Just 6 words. But they cut through her like glass. She rushed to the ER, heart pounding, hands shaking. Tyler was pale when she got there, for already in his arm, eyes half open. "I'm fine," he mumbled. She forced a smile. "You're in a hospital bed, dummy. That's not the definition of fine." The doctor arrived minutes later. Straight to the point. "We ran some tests. His kidneys aren't functioning properly." Claire blinked. "What does that mean?" "Kidney failure. It's progressing. He'll need regular treatment. Possibly a transplant down the line." Her breath caught. She asked about options. They talked about dialysis, lifestyle changes, specialists. Then they talked about cost. Claire had never felt poorer in her life. She nodded through the conversation, pretending to understand the numbers. But all she could think was, "We can't afford this." When they got home, Tyler acted like nothing happened. Typical teenage bravado. He joked about getting to skip gym forever. But Claire saw the truth. The way he moved slower. The dark circles under his eyes. That night, she sat at the kitchen table long after Tyler went to bed. Bills spread out like war plants. Her savings account open on her phone, showing 3 digits. The next morning at the cafe, she was running on fumes. Logan noticed immediately. "Rough night?" Claire didn't answer. Just poured his coffee a little too fast. Some spilled. He didn't flinch. "Claire," he said gently. She sighed. Then, without thinking too hard, she told him. Everything. Tyler. The hospital. The cost. When she finished, Logan didn't speak right away. He looked at her like she was a puzzle. Like something he wanted to fix but knew better than to force. Then he said simply, "I'll cover the treatment." Claire froze. "No." "Why not?" "Because I don't take handouts." "It's not a handout. It's a choice. Mine." "Still no." Logan paused. Then leaned forward. "Okay. Let's make a deal." She narrowed her eyes. "You cook for me. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. 1 week. What? 7 days. 3 meals a day. At my place. Like a private chef." Claire stared at him. "That sounds weird." "Maybe. But that way you earn it. No favors. No debt." She hesitated. Because she hated needing help. But she loved Tyler more. She swallowed hard. Then nodded once. "Deal." Logan didn't smile. Didn't gloat. He just nodded back. Claire didn't know what she was stepping into. But for her brother? She'd walked through fire. Claire stood outside the building and looked up. Way up. Logan had texted the address last night, followed by, "Tell the doorman your name. They'll be expecting you." That alone was enough to raise her blood pressure. She stepped into the lobby, where marble floors gleamed and a chandelier sparkled overhead like falling stars. The concierge greeted her by name. A private elevator took her straight to the top. And when the doors opened, she stepped into another world. The apartment was massive. All glass and quiet luxury. Muted colors. Art that probably cost more than her car. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed the skyline like a postcard. Claire took a full minute to remember to close her mouth. Then Logan appeared from around the corner. "Morning. You're right on time. Do you live here or lease a museum?" He smiled. "Depends on the day." She dropped her bag on the counter and looked toward the kitchen. And nearly cursed out loud. The kitchen was ridiculous. Not just big. Not just beautiful. It looked like something from a cooking competition on TV. Steel appliances. Marble island. Cabinets that glided silently. Claire turned to him. "Be honest. Do you even know how to boil an egg in here?" Logan shrugged. "I can find the microwave. Usually." She rolled up her sleeves. "Let's get this over with." Day 1 was awkward. She cooked. He stayed out of the way. Only hovered once, asked if she needed anything. A second fridge full of ingredients would be nice. Noted. She served breakfast on the sleek dining table. He thanked her and disappeared into his office. No small talk. No interruptions. Just business. Lunch was the same. Dinner too. But day 2? He lingered. Asked what she was making. then watched. Why cooking? She blinked. It pays. But you're good at it. Like, instinctively. Claire shrugged. You grow up poor, you learn to stretch ingredients. He didn't respond. Just watched her slice vegetables with practiced hands. Day 3 he brought his laptop to the kitchen island. Worked while she cooked. Didn't talk much. But didn't leave either. Day 4 he asked about her brother. How Tyler was adjusting. She was sleeping at all. That night they ate dinner together. Not at opposite ends of the long table, but side by side. On bar stools. Over roasted chicken and rice pilaf. What about you? She asked. Did you always want to be this? He took a long sip of wine. I didn't want to be anything. I was just expected to. She nodded. Understood more than she wanted to admit. He told her about boarding school. About learning to network before learning to drive. About the pressure of carrying a family name. Claire shared too. About her mom working double shifts. About the nights she read bedtime stories to Tyler while skipping dinner. We didn't have much, she said. But we had each other. Logan looked at her differently after that. Not like a project. Not like a puzzle. But like a person. And Claire? She started to forget she was there out of obligation. By day 5 the kitchen felt familiar. Her hands moved without thinking. And when Logan reached for a plate without asking, she didn't mind. Claire was wiping down the kitchen counter when Logan walked in holding a black envelope. Do you own anything fancy? She blinked. Define fancy. He set the envelope on the island. Gala. Thursday night. Fundraiser for a hospital wing. Matters to me. I want you there. Claire stared at it like it might explode. Logan, I cook your eggs. I don't do galas. You do now. She opened the envelope slowly. Inside was an invitation on heavy cardstock, all gold foil and perfect lettering. She read it twice. Then looked at him. This world, your world, it isn't mine. Then borrow it for one night. She hesitated. He didn't push. Just said, if you change your mind, I'll send a car. Thursday, 6:42 p.m. Claire stood in front of the mirror. Black dress. Simple. Elegant. Her hair pulled into a low twist. Minimal makeup. Nude lipstick. No jewelry. She didn't look rich. But she looked ready. Or close enough. The car was already waiting outside when she stepped out. Driver opened the door with a quiet nod. When she arrived, Logan was already there. Wearing a tailored suit. Hair neatly styled. Confidence like armor. His eyes lit up when he saw her. You came. Still not scared of you, she replied. You look incredible. She rolled her eyes. Don't make this harder. He didn't offer his arm. He reached for her hand. And held it. Like it was the most natural thing in the world. The room buzzed the moment they walked in. Men in suits. Women in silk and sequins. Smiles that didn't reach eyes. Claire could feel it, the judgment. She wasn't one of them. And they knew. She clutched her small black clutch like it was a shield. Logan didn't let go of her hand. He introduced her to people. By name. With confidence. This is Claire. She's with me. Not assistant. Not friend. Just, with me. Mattered. More than she thought it would. At one point, a woman with perfect skin and a diamond smile leaned in. Where did you two meet? Claire opened her mouth. Then paused. Logan answered for her. She mistook me for her brother and tackled me in an airport. The woman blinked. Claire flushed. But Logan laughed. And for some reason, it disarmed the entire circle. Even made them smile. Later, as they stood near the balcony, Claire whispered, Why bring me here? Really? He looked at her. No teasing. Because when I walk into rooms like this, I forget who I am. But with you? I don't. She didn't know what to say. She looked out over the city instead. Felt the wind against her skin. And for the first time since entering that room full of strangers, she exhaled. Logan hadn't just brought her into his world. He had pulled her into the one place she never thought she'd be. And it terrified her. Saturday morning at the cafe felt like any other. Claire tied her apron, clocked in, and started prepping the espresso machine. Business as usual. Until she caught her name in a whisper. Two co-workers at the pastry station. Leaning in. Low voices. You know Claire's new guy? Logan something? Hale. Logan Hale. That's the guy. His company's the one that bought up half the West Side like 10 years ago. Including that old diner. What was it? Rose and Ivy's? Claire froze. Her hand on the portafilter. Yeah. My dad said it was a hostile buyout. Shut the place down. Whole family lost everything. Claire didn't hear the rest. She didn't need to. Rose and Ivy's. Her family's restaurant. Her childhood. Gone in a blink. She left mid-shift. Didn't ask. Didn't wait. Just walked out. Logan opened the door a second after she knocked. Hey. Was it your company? She asked, voice sharp. His brow furrowed. What? Rose and Ivy's. On West Side. 10 years ago. Did your company buy it? Shut it down? Logan blinked. Took a beat. Claire, I don't know every acquisition we made. That was a long time ago. But it was yours. He hesitated. Then nodded. Probably. If it was part of the West Side redevelopment deal. She stepped back. Like the air had been punched from her chest. That was my family's place. My childhood. My parents' dream. Claire, I swear, I had no idea. But you found out. Her voice cracked. Somewhere along the way. And you didn't say a word. I didn't know how. You didn't try. He reached for her. She stepped away. I can't do this, she whispered. Claire, please. But she was already gone. Down the hallway. Out the door. Into a city that suddenly didn't feel like home. The truth had found her. And it had broken something inside her she didn't know could still break. Claire hadn't seen him in a week. No texts. No coffees. No unexpected visits. Just silence. She told herself it was better this way. Cleaner. Simpler. But every time she walked into the cafe and saw table 7 empty, something tugged. She didn't want to admit it. But she missed him. Then, on a rainy Thursday afternoon, the bell above the cafe door chimed. She looked up. And there he was. Logan. Soaking wet. Holding a plain white envelope. Her breath caught. He didn't say anything. Just walked up to the counter. Placed the envelope down. Claire stared at it. Then at him. What is this? Something I should have done a long time ago. She hesitated. Then picked it up. Opened it. Inside was a stack of legal papers. And on top, a deed. Rose and Ivy's. Her family's restaurant. Her name on the ownership line. Claire blinked. You bought it back? He nodded. In your name. No strings. No conditions. No explanations needed. She looked at him. Really looked. Wet hair. No umbrella. Eyes tired but steady. Why? Because I broke something. And this won't fix it. But maybe it's a start. She didn't know whether to cry. To scream. To run again. Instead, she whispered, I don't know what to do with this. Then just hold on to it, he said softly. Until you do. She looked down at the paper. Then back up. You didn't have to. I know. Claire clutched the envelope to her chest. Her fingers trembled. But not from anger. Something inside her shifted. Just a little. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But something close. It started with a phone call. Urgent. The kind that tightens your chest before you even answer. Claire picked up, already on her feet. Is this Claire Dawson? Yes. This is Dr. Grant from St. Luke's. It's your brother. He's taken a turn. We need you here. Now. She didn't remember how she got dressed. Didn't remember the drive. Only the blur of streetlights and the pounding of her heart. At the hospital, time fractured. Nurses rushed. Doctors moved with clipped urgency. Words like acute and unstable hit like blows. Claire stood in the waiting room, phone in hand, shaking. Then, without thinking, she called Logan. He picked up on the second ring. Claire? Her voice cracked. It's Tyler. He's not okay. No hesitation. Which hospital? 10 minutes later, he walked through the doors. Hair messy. Shirt untucked. No suit. Just eyes locked on hers. Where is he? Claire pointed down the hall. A nurse approached. Logan spoke to her briefly, then disappeared into the office with a doctor. Papers were signed. Approvals made. Claire barely processed it all. He did everything. Handled insurance. Specialists. A private surgeon on standby. Claire just sat. Hands clenched. Heart numb. Hours passed. Each minute a wait. Then the surgeon came out. He's stable. The procedure went well. He's in recovery. Claire almost collapsed. Logan caught her before she fell. She turned to him. Looked into his eyes. And without thinking, she wrapped her arms around him. No panic. No confusion. Just gravity. She held him tightly. And this time he didn't hesitate. His arms circled around her. Steady. Quiet. Like he'd been waiting. They didn't say anything. There were no perfect words. Just breath. Warmth. And the kind of silence that meant everything. Claire pulled back first. Eyes glassy. Lips trembling. Thank you. Logan shook his head. You never have to thank me for this. She looked down. I didn't know who else to call. You called me. That's enough. She nodded slowly. Then whispered, you stayed. He met her eyes. Always. The days that followed felt different. Not easier. Not perfect. Just lighter. Claire spent her mornings at the hospital with Tyler, her afternoons scouting paint swatches and sample chairs for the restaurant. Logan showed up more than she expected. Sometimes with coffee. Sometimes with blueprints. Always with a quiet kind of steadiness. They cleaned out the old space together. Dusty booths. Faded menus. The smell of something both familiar and forgotten. Claire found an old photo taped behind the cash register. Her mom, her dad, and a 6-year-old version of herself holding a mixing spoon twice her size. She didn't say anything. Just stared at it. Logan didn't ask. He just handed her a frame. They painted the walls. Argued over tile colors. Laughed over takeout on the floor when the power shorted. Claire picked the name. Kept Ivy. Because some roots don't let go. One afternoon, Logan showed up wearing an apron. Claire burst out laughing. You look ridiculous. Correction, I look committed. He tried to chop onions. Cried like a child. Then blamed the lighting. She threw a towel at him. He threw it back. For the first time in years, she felt alive. Then came the night. Quiet. Rainy. The restaurant still half finished, but warm with string lights and the scent of roasted garlic. Claire set 2 plates down. Pasta. Simple. Their thing. Logan poured the wine. Took a breath. Then slid a small velvet box across the table. Before you freak out, he said, it's not what you think. Claire raised an eyebrow. He opened it. A ring. Simple. No diamonds. Just gold. No timelines. No rules. Just forever. If you want it. Claire stared at it. Then at him. This isn't how proposals usually go. Nothing about us has been usual. She looked down at the ring. Then reached for his hand. I don't know what comes next. Me neither, he said. But I know who I want to figure it out with. Silence. Then. Okay, she whispered. Logan blinked. Okay. She smiled. Okay. Yes. And just like that, they were one step closer to something real. The restaurant opened with string lights and nervous hearts. Not everything was finished. A few chairs were borrowed. The paint still smelled fresh. But it was ready. And so were they. Claire stood behind the closed doors, holding a small bouquet of white lilies. Her dress was soft, simple, and just a little imperfect, like her. Logan waited inside. No tux. Just a navy suit and the kind of look that said, this is it. Friends filled the tables. A few coworkers. Some old customers. A handful of people who had believed in her before she could believe in herself. And Tyler. Standing at the front with a folded speech in his trembling hands. Claire took a breath. The doors opened. She walked down the aisle they had made between tables. The scent of garlic and lemon lingered from the kitchen. String lights overhead. Warm. Imperfect. Real. She met Logan at the end. He took her hands. Didn't let go. Tyler began. Voice shaking. I don't know much about love. But I know my sister. She's been mom and dad and best friend all at once. And now she gets to be happy. And that's all I've ever wanted. Claire cried. Everyone else tried not to. The officiant kept it short. A few words about choice. About timing. About courage. Then. Do you, Claire, choose Logan without question, without condition? I do. Do you, Logan, choose Claire with full heart and no doubt? I do. He kissed her before the words were even finished. Soft. Certain. People clapped. Tyler hooped. Someone dropped a spoon. Claire laughed into the kiss. And when they pulled apart, Logan leaned close. Whispered into her ear. Thank you for hugging the wrong man. She laughed harder. Through tears. Through everything. Because that mistake? It had changed everything. Sometimes, it takes a wrong step to find the right path. Claire didn't need a prince, she needed a partner. And Logan wasn't saving her. He was finding himself too. If this story touched you, tell us your favorite moment in the comments. If you believe in second chances, leave a heart in the comments. Subscribe to SoulTales for more emotional stories that feel real.